whether it's an up market or a down market or anywhere in between, houses sell.
Mhm.
Right. So don't buy into the hype. The market's crashing, all this. It's all negative. And the law of attraction is real, and what you focus on and expands is real, and all this other stuff. The market is the market. People always looking, always, there is always a need to buy or always a need to sell in the real estate world. Whether we're up here, whether we're down here, it's irrelevant, right? I mean, we like it up here because it pays better, but it's irrelevant. People are buying, people are
Yeah,
selling, have
no
the
doubt.
educated information to be able to best educate the consumer. We're live. So, hey, everybody, welcome. Johnny Moe here, and I'm here with David Childers from Keeping Current Matters. And what we are going to do is talk about, we do this every 2 weeks. We talk about factual data, the economic data, what's driving our markets, what's driving our mortgage rates, what's driving the home sales. And we're going to wade through all of the misinformation or disinformation that may be out there that's designed to, well, just basically elicit you to click or a response, because that is the world that we live in. And with the news outlets and everything else like that, they just want you to click. So the world's coming down and the market's crashing and everything like that. Oh my God. And we're going to talk about that in this episode. David, welcome. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Johnny. Thanks for having me back. And it's always fun to do these. You know, we missed a couple weeks ago. I was actually traveling on that Friday. So it's good to be back. And yeah, I mean, there's so much out there today, and we're going to talk about that. We were actually just talking about something before we went live in pending home sales, but a lot of misinformation. Our job always, as we say, is to get the truth out there. And that's my aim for the next half an hour or so, is to give you some resources really to get the truth out there.
Yeah, you make my job so easy. I just get to sit here, smile, click like on Facebook, ask us a question, and you basically do all the heavy lifting. So you make my job so much easier.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, Johnny. I mean, let me pose the question that you and I were talking about on the front end. Pending home sales down in September. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those headlines. I want to give you what's happening, but I just saw a quote from Bill McBride. And I thought it was really, really good. I don't have it visually, but I'll read it here to you. Sales non-seasonally adjusted in September were 548,000. So hold that right there. They were 2.7% below sales in September of 2020, which was 563,000. So last year in September, sales are this year in September a little bit less. Okay, that's what we hear. And month over month, a little bit less. Those are the headlines that are coming out there. Here's a big point. Excluding last September, which we can agree was a distorted selling season, which is what he says in his quote, because of the pandemic, everybody kind of pushed into later in the year to go out and do something. Sales non-seasonally adjusted were the strongest since 2005 in September. That's the reality. Strongest since 2005. So while the headline, I'm not arguing it's not technically correct, in that it's not the full story of the market that we're in. An extremely strong market, and I'm going to give you some other things there, but just a good place to start from, as we have these conversations, Johnny.
Yeah, because the headline in housingwire.com is pending home sales down again in September, right? And you look at that, it's like, oh my God, market's going down, because everybody's been saying that the market's going to crash 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 11 years ago, whenever it was, I was at family reunion in Orlando, the state of this market, or whatever the state of the union address that they put on there. Market's going to continue to appreciate at a 3.5% appreciation until 2019, when there'll be a correction, right?
Yep.
All they're doing is going off of historical cyclical data. And
Sure.
so, well, here we are, 2021. Everybody's been proven wrong through a pandemic. And so everybody's waiting for the market to crash, but rates are still good and people still need houses.
Yeah. It's interesting. We'll hop in the slides here in a second, but we're preparing some things here at KCM coming into kind of the end of the year, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the holidays are going to be celebrated, between here and the end of the year. There are going to be a lot of us that are talking to people that say, hey, this thing's going to crash. Having good answers there, being able to have that conversation based on facts is going to be critically important. I think probably one of the biggest questions that those of us in the business will get asked as we see friends, family, we're at gatherings. I'm not suggesting that we want to turn all those into a listing appointment by any stretch of the imagination, but we're in this business. We need to have good answers to the questions that are asked. So let's look at some of the information. Were you going to say something, Johnny?
No, I was just saying, yes, we do. We need to be that educated source and not just that person there to collect the check and open the door, or open the door and collect the check. We're
So
gonna
let's look at where we're at.
person.
Yeah, I'm going to share some slides here, like I always do. This is showing time. If you know, we've looked at showing time, gosh, Johnny, for the last year, and really a leading indicator for where we've at. And I've always said, hey, here's where we are. Here's where we're in respect. We're ahead of where we were last year. Well, if you think about it right now, for September, we're below where we were this time last year. Still a very, very good market, but want to bring that into context relative to people scheduling showings. The questions are coming out. Is this market slowing down? Is this market less than what it was a couple of months ago? All of those separate things. We went back and our team looked at showing time over the last 5 Septembers. And this gives you an apples to apples comparison or where we are in the world of some of these dynamics, just like what I talked about with pending sales. 2020, you see the high bar there in green. Yeah, we're a little bit less this year, but well ahead of 2019, 2018, 2017 in just this one metric at activity and showings. I mentioned the strongest September since 2005 in non-seasonally adjusted sales. So before we even in our business get caught up in the hype of this market is slowing down, let's put it into perspective relative to just how good this market is over the last several years, and even going back further than that. I think
well the thing too is on that last slide, you see the roller coaster, right? You got the prime time, it goes down, it goes back up. I've lived that for 20 years. It has always gotten a little bit slower. Around July, August, people are going on vacation, their kids are going to school, and then September, October, November, it picks back up, right? And then November, it slides down, and then January comes, it starts to just continually increase from there. So what I'm looking at here is normal, right?
Yeah.
People look at it and they're like, oh my God, the sky is falling. The sky's not falling. The sky's just not falling. There's got to be an end at some point. But
yeah, my one rebuttal to the normal piece is, yeah, it's normal, but well ahead of where we were.
Ahead of, yeah. I'm just saying this part, that part's normal, up to down, right? We're still far above where we were 17, 18, 19. Those were some slim years.
Yeah, ton of activity in the market. As always, Johnny, I say headlines do more to terrify than clarify.
They do.
That is the reality. We talked about a lot of that. I talked about foreclosures. Last time we were together, we talked about forbearance, did an update on that. Well, these articles start coming out. Foreclosures are shooting up. Is this a repeat of the early 2000s housing crisis? And if you remember this slide right here we talked about it, comparing August of 2021 to 2020. And yes, technically that is correct. Foreclosures are up almost 50%. But if you go back to a normal year of 2019, we're nowhere near that. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're not going to see foreclosures come back in the market, because we will as moratoriums have been lifted, but it's not the, sky is falling type of message that would be sent by some of these headlines.
It's not 2007 again.
Totally. And what makes this even worse is this a little bit of friendly fire, and this is a Realtor.com article, where they're saying foreclosures are shooting up. Well, not technically correct. I wouldn't call that shooting up. And just paying attention to these, because what do we know that happens? An article like this gets picked up in the news. The headline gets talked about. Nobody reads the article. That's the reality of it. And people are left going, you know what? Here we go again. I'm going to pull back. I'm not going to do what I was planning on doing, because this thing's about to come apart. And I'll give you another example one. CNBC here. Mortgage originations are going to drop 33% in 2022 as interest rates rise, according to an industry forecast. If you're thinking things are challenging right now and you see, you know what? A third of the deals are about to drop out because of that, because the industry is constricting. Gosh, that's a challenge. Well, if you read into the article, refinances are going to drop 62%. Well, that makes a lot of sense in our business. Rising interest rate environment, refinances are going to go away. However, Mortgage originations for the purpose of buying a home are forecasted to grow 9%. That's not in the headline.
No, they just want you to click on it. CNBC,
Yeah.
clickbait, right?
Yeah.
They got clickbait in their name. Click now, bait, click. And CNBC.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. It's not just CNBC, but certainly they're out there.
Everybody.
And again, we always say the job of the news is to get you to watch more news, and what sells is the panic, is the challenge, and all that. But here's the bottom line: it's making an impact. This is a University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index survey. Do you think now is a good time or a bad time to buy a house? February 2020, 70% of people said great time to buy a house. September, a little bit less, way less this September. 29%.
Yeah, but how much does consumer confidence play into that with the current dynamic of inflation, right? Now, not to get political, because we don't do that here.
Sure.
But I mean, with inflation is the big word out there right now, right? I don't, my grocery bill is a little bit more right now than it was in September of 2020.
I think we have to admit in our business, Johnny, that inflation plays a big role in that. The world plays a big role in that. So does, or equally as much, if not more, our business is playing a big role in that. You look out there and you see the appreciation in homes across the country. You look out there and you see the frenzy in real estate. People are concerned. I think they both play in.
Sure. Funny thing, off the subject a little bit, I saw something in my news feed the other day, and I sent it out to my broker, who basically taught me the strings back in the day. And I mean, he's a couple of years younger than me. It was a father and son team, great people. And I said, is this real? A home was listed for $699. When I was in the business, when we were working together, we were building those neighborhoods, $299.
Wow.
He says, yeah, it'll probably sell for like $740 or $720 or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, I would never pay that kind of money, right? But the numbers are so bloody high. So there's some confidence still out there, but is it a good time to buy? People are still buying these things because, you know what? Housing is a required asset. You need it. You need to do it.
Yeah. And whether you buy or you rent, you still have a housing expense. Let's agree on that, right? Where's the better expense? Now, there are some folks that shouldn't buy, and we don't have to get into that. I'm not saying everybody should buy a home, but for those that can, forecast, and I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Very, very good time to buy. The other one that I would bring up here, CNBC, Ivy Zellman, you know this, Johnny, we quote Ivy a lot. She's been out there saying some things. Goldman Sachs coming out saying prices will grow another 16% in 2022. Now, I will say this headline by Goldman Sachs has been largely misinterpreted by the media, even those in our business. What they've said is Goldman Sachs, what the narrative they've run, which is incorrect, is that Goldman Sachs is saying home prices are going to appreciate next year 16%. That's not what they said. They said between now, when they made that statement, and the end of next year. So it's a little bit more than a 12-month forecast in home prices. Important to remember, because that's kind of floating around out there, as folks talk about it. But Ivy Zellman came on CNBC last week, I think. I don't know if you saw it, Johnny. We trusted source, have tremendous respect for Ivy. Some of the things she said, I agree with. We agree with the Keeping Current Matters, and some we don't agree with. First thing she said is the real estate business is starting to moderate. And that's the word that I would use. I do agree with that. I don't think it's slowing down or normal is what we would want to use. It's more moderating. She also said, consumers are wondering, should they buy at the top of the market, which led a lot of people to say, is Ivy Zellman saying this is the top of the market? Not, I can't get inside her mind and say definitively, but I can tell you this, her organization is forecasting appreciation next year. They're not forecasting depreciation.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't call that the top of the market by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly gotten a lot of airtime as of recently. And I think you're going to see more of that as we go into the end of the year. But here's the bottom line. People, we did a webinar here at KCM this past week. Big question on, is this market going to last? Is this going to, continue into next year? And I wanted to bring Johnny to our call and the time we get to spend together, and the folks that are on today. What are folks saying about forecasts this year and going into next? And the bottom line is, we're forecasted to have a very good year this year and very good next year. As a reminder, in 2020, we sold 6.5 million homes in this country. We're going to sell more than that this year and likely more than that next year in the business. So when you wonder, is this market going to last? I think we can look at that and say, from a forecaster standpoint, from what experts are saying, absolutely, they see this market lasting.
And here's the thing: more people are buying properties. This isn't calculated into too many people's logic or thinking. There's institutions that are out there, and dozens of types of institutions buying property, right? There's individuals buying properties to live in. There's individuals buying properties as investment properties. So there's a lot of people that are outside of the residential purchaser consumer to live in the home that are helping to make sure that these home sales are driving. There's a lot of land policy changes. California is really driving home with this one. And that's going to open up. People don't really seem to understand the opportunities. We're going to use the word opportunities that are going to exist around some of these land policy changes in areas like San Diego County or different parts of California that are going to allow these different assets to go from, you could always put your accessory apartment on there, but now you can put a 4-family, right?
Yeah. And I would expect to see more of that. California is leading the way, but that we're going to see more of that across the country.
We're going to see a lot more of that. Even in my own little town here of Manchester, New Hampshire, they got the big rave is building like studio or 1-bedroom apartments, no parking. Everything is downtown. You come out your front door, you're in downtown, right? So walkable communities so there's a big audience for that. Don't get me wrong. You're not raising a family in a unit like that. So you got to go onto the outskirts, but walkable communities is definitely something. And it was even in, I don't know how far it got. It was even in legislation down in DC about taxing how much you drive and all these other things, all to fade away people and deter people from driving so much, bring them all in closer, right? Less fossil fuel.
And certainly, Johnny, you mentioned the political aspect of that. There's going to be a million different positions on it. Let's agree, in our business, we're all in real estate because we want to see more people own homes.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And again, inside of that, a lot of different opinions, disagreements, agreements, all of that, but expect to see legislation coming forward to say, how do we solve some of the lack of housing available for people? Because that's what we have going on right now. We have an undersupply going on. We have more people that want to buy than there are available opportunities to do that. And if the attempt is to create more of that, then certainly in our business, we want to figure out how to do that. And I'm not suggesting it's always super easy in every one of the situations, but that is what's at play right now. So I think we can expect that no matter what community you're in, to see more of that, happening.
Yeah. Do you have anything on rates and new construction at all? Do you got anything queued up for that?
Well, I can tell you, the average 30-year fixed right now just came out yesterday, 3.14% on the rise right now. It's going to cost more going into next year. That's the bottom line. People often wonder, okay, what would I be saying right now? And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. What should I be saying to somebody who's thinking about selling, or I'm thinking about doing something in the next year or two? I have a direct message for them. But the bottom line in our business is we go into the end of this year and into next, it's all going to be about listings. And I think you could, in any year in our business, you could make that statement, right? Can we agree on that?
Listing lead leverage, there's a whole book about it.
Absolutely. It's doubly or triply true this year, And let me show you a little bit of perspective. I can't remember if I've shared this, Johnny. This is a look at new listing counts coming into the business in 2017, 18, and 19, and there's 2020 in the orange there. And the bottom line, if you were having a conversation right now with somebody looking to buy a home, this is what I would be using. This is the reason we're in the situation we're in real estate in this country, because we never got the listings we needed back in 2020. So we were starting to bring those in the market. Lockdown comes, we dip down, and we never got back up to the volume of listings coming into the market that we had seen in previous years. And this is strictly new listings coming to market. Okay. Now, we want to lay in this year. This is what happened in the green bar this year. All right, we come through, we don't have the lockdown, so we're trending up. And over the summer, we're bringing more listings into the market. Now, they're getting snapped up just as soon as they're coming to market. I'm not denying that, but we're bringing more to market. Well, what happened in September is we started to dip below where we were in 2020. Not a good sign for listings across the country.
Sure.
You want to know what's going to happen in the business? You want to know what's going to happen with pricing? You want to know what's going to happen overall? Look at listings.
So everybody, this slide right here, this is the money slide. This is the money. Instead of sitting there online saying, oh, market's so hot, who wants to sell? Man, I want to throw up when I see people doing that. It's just so tacky. This shows you validation and data and some assimilation of IQ that you're able to utilize data. And when a consumer can see this, then they understand, right?
Yeah.
Or they can understand and make an educated decision based upon that. But we're still below 07, 18, 19. And now we just dip below 20. So yeah, I think it's gonna get a little tight again. Listings is gonna be
a great place, Johnny, to bring in the local information.
Yeah.
Here's what's happening nationally. This is the big picture of real estate. Here's what's happening where we're at.
Yeah. 100%. That's perfect. You can make this video on TikTok. You can make it on your regular phone. You can make it on Reels. Be where the people are. Be where the eyes are. You know? You sold another house.
Danielle Hale said this about it. She said, with new listings in September dipping below the last year for the first time in 5 months, next month's data, meaning here in October, will yield important clues about whether this setback is going to be temporary or a new trend.
Interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens relative to listings. Now, I do think there is, just in the last several weeks, and kind of forward looking, hopefully the economy is improving. Hopefully, the COVID numbers are going down. All of those things, many people may be saying, is now the time. And if there were another message that I would get out there, Johnny, and it kind of goes into talking to those about rising interest rates and all of that, what's coming in the future is this. American home equity has skyrocketed over the last 12 months. This is from CoreLogic coming out of their second quarter report. The average gain in a mortgaged home over the last 12 months, $51,500. You could literally do a video just on that. It's such a shocking number when people hear it. Rising prices have added a lot of equity to homes across the country. Many of those folks saying, we have this equity, now may be the right time to sell. Now may be the right time to leverage that equity for our changing needs. Tappable equity in this country is surging. Right now, tappable equity is defined as the amount of equity to get to 80% combined LTV. So we're not even talking about the remaining 20%, not even going to count that, almost $10 trillion in tappable equity across the country.
That's
now, back in the housing crash, about half of that. Okay. Now, the question that this sets up are a couple of things. Looking into the future, forecast going into the future is for appreciation, not depreciation. Many people will start to make the decision, should we move? Should we renovate? Should we tap some of this equity?
Should we buy SHIB?
Go ahead.
Should we buy Shiba Inu? Yeah.
And that's going to be the decision that's going to be made. Yeah. And if I were talking to somebody right now that was thinking about maybe selling, maybe doing something a couple of years from now, I would talk to them about, well, why now is the right time. Here's a perspective on that, a couple of perspectives. Average age of an outstanding residential mortgage in this country. This could be either through a purchase, through a refinance, but the age of the mortgage, about 5 years on average.
That's crazy.
The average age. You look over there, you see some less than that. You see some a little bit more than that, but that is the average age of a mortgage across the country. What does that speak to? A lot of people have refinanced in the last 5 years, okay? If we look at that and we think about that, we go back and we look at the last 6 years, and the average mortgage rate, 3.85%. And what forecasters are saying, now I'm not here today to forecast interest rates, but somewhere between 3.5 and 4, I can tell you is what forecasters are saying will end up at by the end of next year. We're going to be knocking on the door where a lot of people look at what they have in an interest rate and make a decision. You know what? We're going to stay where we're at. We're going to renovate. We're not going to make a decision to move because we have a 30-year fixed at 2.75% or whatever they have, versus going out and buying something new. Again, 30-year fixed right now, 3.14% as measured by Freddie Mac on the average. Still really, really good financing
Ridiculous
for somebody that's looking to do something.
Yeah, ridiculously good. I'm seeing that. I have been seeing that around here for the past year, maybe 2 years. People, redoing their kitchens, their living rooms, their floors, their bathrooms, and everything else like that. Adding garages, doing additions because there's just nothing, right? Available of the bidding war, and then that whole other thing. So I'm definitely seeing more of that. What you just said, pull some money out and let's make the home what we want it to be. Right?
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to continue to happen. I think it's going to happen more frequently as we go into the next year.
Your contractors, thank you.
Yeah. Let me give you another piece of information here, Johnny. We've talked a lot about forbearance over the last year and the significant equity that people have in their homes. Little perspective here from Black Knight. Very, very good. Says foreclosure start rates on homeowners who are 120 or more days past due have been relatively similar, regardless of equity stakes from 2010 on. I'm going to pause there. What they're saying is, regardless of the amount of equity, the same percentage of people have gone into foreclosure, whether you have 5% or 50% in equity. Okay. Goes on to say, while we may see some variation in foreclosure activity based on equity levels of borrowers who are unable to return to making payments post forbearance, those with strong equity won't necessarily be immune to the foreclosure referral process. Bottom line here, there are people across the country with strong equity that have been affected, will be affected by the pandemic, that will need to sell. We need to continue to educate people about the opportunities they have in this market that they didn't have back in the housing crisis. There's an opportunity to sell your home if you need to. We don't wish that upon anyone that has to do it under distress, but it does happen. They can put some money in their pocket and pay a commission, and very, very different from what we saw in the past housing crisis.
Right. And if I was a producing agent right now trying to get leads or any business or anything else like that, this is a perfect piece that I'm going to create like a 5-point bulletin or informational on the 5 most important things you need to know about forbearance or anything else like that. My video is simply going to be, did you go into forbearance? Are you trying to get out? Are you confused about your options? I put together this 5-point bulletin that's going to help you answer some questions so you can get the right guidance. And if the question's not here, I'll be more than happy to talk to you and help guide you and out of this mess, right? Whatever it is, I just came up with that on top of my head, right? Yeah. Put that stuff out there because there's people in your community, there's people in your farms that went into forbearance. They might not know how to exit properly. But again, we've talked about the forbearance thing and appreciation from last year. And when you're sitting on 10+% appreciation across the country, you can get out of it.
Yeah, that's no doubt. And that's the opportunity that folks have in the market today. The thing I would be saying right now, we just did there's a free tool if you want it at Keeping Current Matters, is the Professional Equity Assessment Report. And the question is, do you know how much equity you have in your home right now? Just a simple question to start a conversation with someone. Do you know how much equity you have in your home? Because most people right now today be shocked with that. There's been talked about a lot of times, a lot more recently, CMA a day, whatever the case may be. If you want that, you can go to keepingcurrentmatters.com/PEAR, PEAR, Professional Equity Assessment Report. Deliver that to someone. You can download it there and use it because it's all about right now. Do you know how much equity you have in your home? You thinking about doing something the next year or two? Are you in a situation you need to do something? There are options today. That are good options.
I'm just going to say this too, and this is not finance advice by any stretch of the imagination. And I know a lot of people want to follow the whole Dave Ramsey model of, debt free, not having any debt or anything else like that. But me personally, when the market restricts, trying to get that debt is going to be difficult to get because now money isn't so accessible. So take the money out and put it in a safe vehicle, right? So you have that money. So if something does constrict, you have the money there, because when it does constrict, that $500,000 home that you had that's now down to 50, you just lost a 50 in equity, right? So if I would be putting some of my money out, 3.1% is what you said earlier, right? Where am I going to be able to get money for 3.1%? Because I know I can make 10% on that money, right? So I pay back my 3.1, I yield 7. So think about these strategies, and always talk to a finance advisor, always talk to your lender. And this is why I believe in having your core power circle, those people in your core power circle, and attorneys, for the legal questions and the trust questions and those types of things. Be that educated person. You just got a whole suite of tools here. You got a week's worth of content y'all can make. A whole week's worth of content you guys can make. So be the educator. What was that? Keeping Current Matters /peer.
Pair. Think about like like a pair. You would eat PEAR.
Right.
Professional Equity Assessment Report.
Yeah, go check it out, y'all. Y'all should be on that website right now, checking that out, right? Unless you're on mobile, then you got to stay watching. What else you got? Anything good and juicy and salacious?
That's what I've got. Interest rates are rising. Homes are forecasted to appreciate next year. I think we're going to have a very, very good year next year. And watch out for the headlines that are out there, because they'll convince people otherwise.
I got a secret. I don't want too many people to know the secret, David. So I'm going to say it real softly. Whether it's an up market or a down market or anywhere in between, houses sell. Mm-hmm. Right. So don't buy into the hype. The market's crashing, all this. It's all negative. And the law of attraction is real, and what you focus on and expands is real, and all this other stuff. The market is the market. People are always looking. There is always a need to buy or always a need to sell in the real estate world. Whether we're up here, whether we're down here, it's irrelevant, right? I mean, we like it up here because it pays better, but it's irrelevant. People are buying, people are selling. Have the educated information to be able to best educate the consumer.
Yeah, that goes back to the the question: are houses unaffordable today? Well, the secret in our business is, as people are buying them, they're not unaffordable. As long as they're buying them, they're unaffordable. Yeah. They're affordable. I want to respond to one thing. I saw Lori Joe. I saw your question in there. Thank you for the comment. How is Steve Harney doing? Wonderful. Steve is still an active member of our research team, and kind of his retirement at KCM, but doing wonderful. So thanks for asking about him. I think there was
Linda asks that website again. At Linda, it's keepingcurrentmatters.com/PEAR. Peer.
I'm gonna add it in here right now.
And while you're at
keepingcurrentmatters.com/pair, yeah, you can go in there and grab that. Download that resource and use it as you're talking to people. Everybody I'd be talking to right now, do you know how much equity you have in your home? You know what your home's worth.
And while you're there, might as well go to trykcm.com, because you can try KCM for, 14 days?
14 days for a free trial. You can check that out. We do all of this, get you, all the information you need to be the most educated agent. We do it for $29 a month. Want you to check that out.
Yeah, $1 a day, guys. It's $1 a day. Really, I know y'all somebody's sitting in Starbucks right now getting ready to spend the $7 on a latte that'll say, oh, I'm not going to sign up for that. Right. But to me, it is so powerful. I talk to a lot of agents around the country, brokers around the country, and different things. And there is a difference between the ones that just out there trying to do it for the money and the ones that are actually trying to make a difference. Be the one that makes a difference. You'll have a longer career. You'll make more money. So anyways, our time here is done. We're going to get the hook in a minute. Jake is ruthless, and he's going to shut us off. I want to thank you, David. I want to thank all the guests. If there's any questions or whatnot, y'all post them in here. And thanks, Lisa. Lisa says they give you a ton of great info and posts. And that's a thing. You got to be putting out content and make videos with the content. The content's great, but it's just a tool. Take that tool and do something special with it that's unique, that only you do. And man, if I tell you what, if you did what do you do, a blog a day?
Oh, we write a blog every day. Yeah.
Every day I'd be drinking my coffee, y'all, reading that blog and saying, what snippets can I take out of this to make my Instagram reels and my TikTok with?
Yeah. We produce more content than somebody could ever use. That's a reality in what our research. We have 7. Here's the bottom line, Johnny. I think about this a lot. We have 7 people on our team dedicated that scan everything happening out in the real estate business and give it back to you so you can have an eloquent conversation. Be educated on a topic.
That's it. Leverage, baby. Let them do the hard lift, and all you have to do is smile and say the words. Everybody go to trykcm.com. You get 14 days on Keeping Current Matters. If you're a register, if you already have Keeping Current Matters, thank you. We want to thank you and keep
If
rolling.
you need anything from me, you can always reach me at David@Keeping Current Matters. Send me an email. If there's something you need or something you're thinking about it, we'll get the team thinking about it as well. So we're here to really be a resource.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds
Happy
good. Take care,
Halloween.
Johnny.
Peace.
Bye.